And g'day, friends and fans. Welcome to an interview with. I'm the author, the David Applegate, author of the book, The Boyhood of Cade, book one of the Empire of Elves, and welcome to my channel. Before I begin, I'd like to remind you that this channel is sponsored by people like you, the viewer audience. So please, after the show, check out the links in the description. More details at the end. Today with me is Andy Mack. Andy, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Good morning, David. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll give myself a quick introduction. This is my first time doing a podcast, so I'll probably just do a boring CV run so you know where I'm coming from. But my name is Andy Mack. I have just finished writing my first series. It was going to be one novel, but it ended up being over 270,000 words, so I'm going to turn it into a series, which should be out later this year. As for me, I'm actually a Canberra boy. I grew up in Canberra. I joined the Army when I was 18. Where I went up to Sydney. I was a paratrooper in the Army, which was pretty cool. Got to jump out of planes and do all that sort of fun stuff. Deployed overseas once or twice. What's that? Drop dead? Dirt dart?
Drop dead.
Didn't actually injure myself. Exactly. So I did that for a while. Did that for about 5 or 6 years. Got out, did some reserve work. Did another deployment, did some boat boarding operations, etc. So I got to sail the high seas for several months, which was quite an experience. Once I got out of the Army, I did the two things you're good at when you're in the Army. I was bouncer for a year because, you're pretty good at fighting, especially when you're younger. And then, that's it. I got sick of that pretty quick. And then I ended up running a gym, where I was a personal trainer. We looked after strength and conditioning for athletes and all that sort of stuff. Did that for almost 5 years. Then I got a bit sick of that because, 4 a.m. starts get a bit boring. And then I joined the public service like any good Canberran should, where I actually ran a hospital with like 130 staff. So that was super interesting too. I did a couple of jobs around government till maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Then I got out and I've just been contracting, looking at project management, delivery of those sort of things. So that's sort of me as my background as a human. And then I started writing. Yeah.
That's it.
So it's been an interesting career.
You have 3 skills in the Army.
Yeah.
Fighting, logistics, and the bootlickers. Everybody's got a bootlicker somewhere, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, right away, sir.
Oh dear, yes. So it was good times. Good job to do when you're young, definitely.
Yeah, my youngest half brother.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
He was able seaman on the Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
He was. They didn't call him training officers then. They were called.
Midshipman?
He first
something like
that. Shipboard physical fitness awareness officer. Even though he was an able seaman,
Yeah. I must admit, being at sea is another thing. I mean, my service was definitely Army. That's what I like doing. But being out in the middle of the ocean for months on end it's another planet out there. It was definitely a good experience.
Yeah, a perforated disc and another and couple of other issues kept me out.
Yeah, do you know what's wild? I did all that stuff, like I was training 40 hours a week on top of working. I was doing a lot of martial arts, never hurt myself. It wasn't until I started sitting at a desk job maybe 7 or 8 years ago, then everything started getting injured. Never hurt myself, jumping out of planes, all that stuff. As soon as I started sitting behind a desk.
You had a higher healing factor then. And
testosterone's good when you got it. Yep.
Yeah, testosterone.
And a lot more rubbery, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it. You're more rubbery then. So at some point you realized you wanted to be a writer. When did that happen?
Yes. So for me, it was actually, I was quite old. I might say old, not really. I was in my 30s. It wasn't something I dreamed about doing when I was young. The way it sort of came about was, and I'll go on a little bit of a spiel, so cut me off, is so I've got 2 kids. At the time I started writing, they were still single digits, and they still thought Dad was really cool, and they wanted to listen to everything I had to say. But I sort of realized in the back of my head that at some point, which is getting closer and closer now, I've almost got 2 teenagers, is they don't really want to listen to what Dad has to say. They don't really want to get me to impart their life lessons. Yep, just dabbing out. But, so I thought, what's a good way for me to pass on things I've learned through my life, through all this sort of careers I've had and different experiences in a way that they might actually absorb it, as opposed to, getting lectured from your dad. And I thought, wouldn't a story be cool? I could, kind of base the characters on my children when they're older in the story. They're actually 20 and 18 in the story. And we go on adventures in the book, which I'm sure we'll talk about. So that's when I started writing. I was like, oh, hang on, what a good way to do it. I've got a laptop and Microsoft Word. I can start writing. And I started waking up at 4 a.m. again for some reason and just started writing. And it's been what took me almost 3.5, 4 years to get that first draft out. As I said, it's big. It's 270,000 words, but I fell in love with it. It was great. I can't stop now. It's too much fun.
Yeah, that's it. It's a bug. You get two types of writers.
Yep.
Those who chase the dragon and those who get the writing bug. Those who chase the dragon, 1 in 10,000 might get to moderate success. And out of that, maybe 1 in 10,000 will be published. And then out of those 10,000 published books, one will be a bestseller for a little while. And then another dragon will just basically land on top of them. Usually one of the existing dragons,
Yep.
And a lot of writers in that genre, or should I say career path, they tend to find out very quickly that their opposition has teams of ghostwriters, editors, and publicists full time.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting industry I find myself in now. Very different to what I'm used to, that's for sure.
I won't say who, but basically they said 9 out of 10 of this guy, he did an interview and then he just basically said in his experience, they all got ghostwriters, they all got, editors, they all got publicists, you think you can catch up with them, you might if you have something really unique that the movie industry goes, wow. But that's becoming less and less because they've got so many scripts, so many books.
Yeah, exactly right. So for me, I guess it was, as long as my kids read the book,
it's the bug.
Bless, I'm happy. Yeah, but I won't stop. Yeah, like you said, it's in there now. I don't see me. Unfortunately, I don't think I can wake up after 6 a.m. now anyway, because I've been doing it for so long. But I have to. My day feels better every time I write in the morning. So it's not something I intend to stop until I'm in the ground, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's I mean, you actually the weird one is if you look at say Hemingway and Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke, they were both. They didn't become writers because they were chasing a dragon. They become writers because they got the bug. They just become successful at it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I thought if I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning for 4 years, and if I want to give it to my kids, because hopefully some of my lessons will be in there that they take on board, then maybe 1 or 2 other people in the universe might like that as well. So why not publish? Why not get it out there to people? So hopefully someone else can enjoy it. That was sort of my thinking as to why I'm not just, keeping it on my shelves at home.
You've probably seen a few thousand posts a day. That review, I didn't buy that review. People have accused me of buying that review. No, I woke up one day and saw, wow, I've been tagged. Okay, I've been tagged in a photo.
Yeah.
Somebody's obviously memeing me, right? And because that happens a lot, you get memed.
Yeah.
And you click it, and it's a review. It's like, wow, this is really great. Can I use it?
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah. I really tickled somebody. So that was really awesome.
Oh yeah, I couldn't. Obviously, I haven't released yet, but I couldn't think of anything better than someone I don't physically know enjoying my book. I mean, I'm pretty big. I'm 6'5". I can stand over people at work and make them buy a copy and tell me it's good. But someone out there, that I don't know or anything, reading it and enjoying it, just wow. Yeah.
No, you could stand over them, make them tell you it's good without reading it, and buy you a coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. All those previous skills I've learned.
Yeah. Officer training. How to make people do stuff they don't want to do, and then thank you for making them do it.
That's it. Motivation and leadership at its finest.
Yeah. Tell me more about your book.
Okay. So I'm terrible at this because I only just finished. So I actually wrote it down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it and be a bit annoying because I haven't. On my to-do list is blurbs and synopsises and elevator pitches and all that stuff. I think you need to do. So just I'll read it to you and we'll see how I go.
I know
So
what
my
it's
debut
like.
book in my debut book in the series follows the journey of Seth and his two children as they work as planet scouts in the distant future. Towards the end of their latest contract, Seth starts seeing images of his wife, who had died almost a decade ago. He follows these images into what looks like the entrance to a cave, but on further inspection, it looks like the cave is not naturally forming, and that perhaps he may have discovered the first intelligent life in the galaxy besides humanity. So that's sort of as much as I wanted to say without ruining it. I don't know. But the rest of the book series is sort of an action-packed adventure as Seth and his kids have to battle against mega corporations, government spies, and an unknown presence, which is trying to unleash itself on the galaxy. So, there's obviously some action in there. I couldn't help it. Lots of exploration and adventure through different planets and different systems. There's some themes about different gods and how they came to be, and it's got a little bit of magic in there too.
Yeah. That's cool. You're into science fantasy. That's hey, my genre, man. That's my backyard. It's my
Yeah.
A lot of people
hopefully
say
I pull it off.
science.
Yeah.
A lot of people say science fiction and fantasy. How novel. You realize what Star Wars?
Exactly.
Space wizards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's superpowers?
Swords, everything.
Superpowers. Space wizards, man. Space wizards.
Yep.
They're all space wizards.
So it's that's what the book's about. I need to get better at explaining that, so my apologies. But yeah, hopefully it's
absolutely.
it's good fun. And of course,
hey, I just wrote this book. Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's my problem. It's either like, oh, it's good, or I'll talk at you for 40 minutes trying to explain every intricacy over this series that intends to be 11 books in the distant future. I've got to find that happy medium of not spoiling things and getting into it.
Yeah. Hi, here's the Boyhood of K. It's the action adventure around the future emperor of the empire.
Yeah, exactly.
And his growth to power.
Yeah.
I mean, that took me ages to come up with, right? That took me ages.
Oh,
it starts. It starts here, and you're gonna. It's out of focus. It's too long. It's too long.
Yeah.
It's too long. It's too long.
Yeah.
Still a little too long, but okay.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to doing that. I think
you gotta have the short blurb, the long blurb, and the one-page blurb, and like all these. And then you got to become your own publicist, your own marketer, your own editor.
It's all part of learning new skills. Is the way I look at it. It's a bit of it for me in the process, right? Like I get to find new talents I may have or learn new things. That's cool. I'm enjoying it, that side as well, albeit very new and a bit of a struggle for now.
Obviously, you had to do some preparation work.
Yes. Do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. Obviously, this is my first book, so I can't talk about too much of I can't talk about any other book really. But I'll tell you what I did for this one, and what I'm not going to do the next time when I write the next book in the series is. So for this one, it took me maybe 3 months, like world building, and so learning out how the universe and everything worked within it. Because another writer friend of mine is sort of writing in the same universe, so we had to sit down and get that right. Then I went deep. I went into like chapter summaries, plot lines. I did like a little blurb for each chapter that was like a page long. Who was there, where were they, what were the key plots, what needed to happen. And that took me probably another month or two, I'd say. And then once I started writing, I pretty much just didn't do any of that. And realized that I'm a bit of a pantser. So I think it was good to have the overarching sort of plot line and some key events in there. But I definitely wasted a lot of time trying to plan, which just didn't suit my writing style. So for the next one, I think it'll be dot points of like, make sure they're here on time, get them to here, this needs to happen. And then I just let the muse go and the characters will do what they do. And I just I'm just a vessel and my fingers do the work on the keyboard.
That's it. Hi, I'm a writer. I am the world's greatest supervillain. I am going to plan out all these dastardly deeds. And then suddenly you realize, oh, damn, now I have to foil myself. Uh-oh. I'm now a cowboy. I'm pulling out my guns and just walking into the baked guns blazing.
Yeah, it's such an interesting experience. I think I got like 4 chapters that I didn't even plan whatsoever, or even more actually. Just the story took that turn, and I think it needed to go there, so I just let it go there, and seems to have made sense in the end. So I guess it worked. Or yay for editing. I'll have to figure all this out.
This isn't me. This is actually from Red Dead Redemption 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
Yeah.
We rob a bank. Okay. Let's go.
What more do you need? We got guns. We're good.
We got guns. We got guns. Always.
Yeah.
What are your
what's the saying?
inspirations?
She'll be right on the night. Oh, my inspirations. Just the kids, really. That was the real big thing. If you're talking about like creative inspirations, obviously, like I do lots of things. I read manga, I play video games, I watch movies. It's sort of all a blur of that. I wouldn't say there was a particular like book or author that really inspired me, but most of it's just for the kids. I'm like, what's a cool situation? How can I put a lesson into this? What goes well as a story? And then I sort of just let it go from there. As I said, there's not like a one thing. It's not like I really loved X book or X much. I like all sorts of different genres and reading all sorts of different stuff. So I couldn't put my finger on. But that's sort of the inspiration. It's just the kids, just passing on stuff to them that they'll enjoy and learn from.
Yeah. Well, I spent years going through manga sites, reading manga, just Knights of Sildona, and all the early Bleach, all the early Naruto, all the even some of the Beta Kai and High School of the Dead, High School DxD, all those, like from action adventure to Ichi, all the way to full blown hentai, you name it. If it was there, and I got used to the point where okay, I'm only reading the hook, the free stuff, right? And eventually, of course, I became the the book nerd, the guy in the back of the manga shop. Still, we go in. Okay, what's Fairy Tail up to? Yep. Flip through. Yeah, I'm just browsing. And eventually, you start watching a few anime, and next thing you know, you got one of these full. And you can't name them all. You can't name what you want.
Yeah.
And so you can't put your finger on the one that really inspired you. Was it Overlord? Was it Bleach? Was it Naruto? And eventually you realize it was the genres. It wasn't one genre. It was just not one thing. And to say, well, rest in peace, Akira. I'm going to butcher his name, Troyaku.
Yep.
You look at the response, right? There's no backstabbing. There's no there's no dancing. There's no politics there. There is just such a pouring of tribute that if you really entertain somebody, and you really, we know that the Japanese are very good. They have the politics is pretty much inside their circle.
Yes.
And sometimes I wish I was more like that sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I understand that.
But it's amazing stuff, that you can read somebody else's work, get just so inspired by it. At the same time, there's so many other creators just like that. And
it's incredible. Yeah. Awesome.
So I know it's a bit controversial, but I understand, because I'm very manga inspired. You look at my main character here. That's my main man, Emperor Cade.
Yeah.
Empire of the Elves. He's a flower elf, and I growing up, I read the Legends of the Elves.
Okay.
Actually, I got the title "The Boyhood of Cade" from the Boyhood of Ford, one of the Celtic legends.
Okay. That's cool.
So, yeah. But I know it's a controversial topic, but to say elves were real, most people go, you're cuckoo, right? But
Yeah.
you go back historically, there's a painting called The Last Dragon in the Vatican.
Yeah.
There's a painting
Yeah.
called The Dance of the Elves in the Westminster collection.
Yeah.
If you look through Europe, there are 18,000 horns. These are were originally known as Alphorns, which means elf home.
Yeah. Okay.
And some of them are
Yes.
elaborate artificial hills. Okay,
Yeah.
huge
Okay.
artificial hills built 16,000 years ago. And they're still there,
Yeah.
not worn away. And some of them are massive. In the middle of Pillsbury Plains, there's these massive hills. They're artificial. They were made by men or
Yeah.
elves. So to say that there weren't elves is like, or dragons is pretty dismissive, because we now know there were once lions in Europe.
Yes. I think I did say
The
that.
Romans hunted them to extinction.
Sounds like something humans would do.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's interesting. I mean, you're very much going to enjoy my books then, but I won't say any more than that because I don't want to give you any spoilers. Because, there is definitely that fantasy edge in there. And I've included a lot of that sort of stuff.
And well, I've talked too much about myself. We're supposed to be talking about you and your book.
That's all right.
Who's your favorite writer? Do you have a favorite writer?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite writer. Not really. I mean, I've got some favorite books that I enjoy, or some things that I really like. Like the Akira original manga always comes to mind. The entire Ghost in the Shell type of series.
I've read all of Ghost in the Shell. Yeah.
I love it. Have you read the original Akira? Like all 6 books?
Yeah.
That was amazing, because I thought it was only a movie, right? Because the movie came out when I was young.
Yeah. They should have followed that
so
very quickly with Tetsuo's story. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So there's that sort of stuff. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings. I love reading The Hobbit to the kids. I really like Maze Runner by James Dasher. That was one of those books that made me want to get up and go running. So for that sort of, that inspiration on piece, I guess, is like, I love the idea that a book like physically moves you and wants you to go do something. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, there's not one individual author that I could say is my favorite. I like heaps of stuff. I'm not a devout author follower. I just, whatever's good's good, and I'll read it. Yeah.
Well, I fell in love with science fiction. I read Lord of the Rings, and then I found iRobot. My grandmother had iRobot. She also had the entire Agatha Christie collection. So I've read them all in their original unedited form. And
nice.
Yeah, and I've read Agatha Christie. I read all the Bond books, because there are only 6 originals. There are only 6 original books. I read all those. And I was quite surprised. I was expecting dirty stories.
No.
Not the intricacies of a sniper rifle, or what it feels like to take a band without care in the world.
That sounds fun. But I also like Shakespeare, right? Like, I think that was the first book at school that we read that actually got me like interested in reading. Because I didn't really like reading growing up until I was like maybe 15, 16. So it was actually Shakespeare that got me reading, and then I got into like the Star Wars sort of, all the other novels that were out in the 90s, Heir to the Empire and all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of, those books are great. A bit of everything, right?
Yeah. I actually went to see the play As You Like It, yet as you can tell, right now I couldn't tell you what it was about, but I did like Shakespeare. But as you can tell, I also like cyberpunk. But
probably one of my favorites.
That got me into role playing more than I was into D&D, but cyberpunk really drew me in for a while, because it's. I always found fantasy is a good introduction, but science fiction has depth. You could do things with science fiction. Sure, you could do stuff with magic, but you can do magic anywhere.
Well, exactly right. You can still do it in science fiction, even, right? Like we've been saying,
Right.
you can use it everywhere. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
Big cyberpunk fan myself.
Yeah. Obviously, you've done a lot of research. You mentioned that. What did you actually do?
Yeah. I guess it's kind of funny, like, because it's all science fiction, it's all made up in my head, my story. Like,
Yeah.
most of my research was like, I'd be in the middle of typing, then I'd be like, how far do you orbit? How on the Google? Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't do a lot of sort of in-depth stuff. There was some things that I went into about ancient sort of Earth mythology. We were talking about dragons and elves before, and some things like that. There's also some things around AI and what that might look like in the future. So I did a little bit of look into that and what that could be like. But yeah, it was more sort of just on topic in the time that I was typing that sort of event would come up, and I just didn't want to sound like a complete boob and get it absolutely wrong. So yeah, that's probably most of my research, and I took a little bit of writerly, whatever the word is, and we'll just ignore certain things in the science fiction realm. It's not hard science, so we'll just let me get away with some stuff because it's the story that matters, not how their hair's floating or something.
Well, science fiction is you've got science fiction and hard science, and the two shall never agree.
Yes, correct. But yeah, so there wasn't too much like prior research to when I wrote it. Was just like, hey, I need to see what this is, or how does that work? What would happen in this situation, and then sort of twist it into the story in an interesting, cool way.
Yeah, I sort of did that. I sort of imagined like, okay, you got a spaceship, right? You got these huge thrusters. Wait a minute, how does it stop? So you had to have like every space movie just has these things zipping around like they're sports cars.
Yeah. A couple of liberties here and there, obviously. That's the word I was after.
Yeah,
just, let me get away with a little bit, as long as it doesn't take you out of the story. I think it's fine.
Wow, you can orbit as low as right. Space starts at 72.5 miles. You can orbit as low as 100 miles, but you need to be at least 200 miles up to avoid orbital magnetic drag, and then ideally for synchronous orbit, you have to be 20,000 kilometers up. And I think after about 50,000 kilometers, you start to drift away. So that's quite it. So there's
that's
more space in orbit than there is on the Earth.
Yep, exactly. And that's when, as a writer, you can be like, they put the ship in orbit, full stop. Get away with a couple of things here or there.
The synchronous orbit. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just measure the planet's size, gravity. Nah, just Star Trek, just rock up. Yep. Boom. We're in the synchronous orbit. Like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And actually, there's actually all these maneuvers and matching speeds that you have to do and get in the exact position.
Insane. Yeah. Not easy, but it is in the future, thankfully.
Yeah. I actually did the stupid thing and read one of the Apollo missions, about how the early Apollo missions, how they spent a week just trying to get the orbit right. Wow. That was the entire mission, just getting the orbit right.
Yeah, that's the maths right there. Well above my pay grade, that's for sure.
Program for it. Well, they had to write it.
Yeah, which probably fits on your phone now, right?
Yeah, but back in, they alleged back in 2014, they deleted the archives without thinking about it, without even thinking all these notes, etc. It's ridiculous.
Sad. Very sad.
Should just ask Russia for a copy.
India, China, everyone's probably across
everybody's probably got a copy with all the breaches they've had.
Yes, indeed.
I just was reading about a new breach that nobody seems to be paying even attention to. That just a seaman walked into the archives and just walked out with a whole bunch of stuff and sold it to Taiwan for $25,000.
Oh well, that's not good, I would assume. Did he sign
No.
for it? Or did sign for it? It's just thanks to you.
He
All right,
signed
where you
for it.
going?
Just signed it out. Just all this
Yeah.
data. Just signed it out. Didn't even check that he had clearance or not.
Ugh, someone's getting fired.
Government. Yeah, someone's getting. But you think after the
reprimanded at least.
You think after 3 major breaches where terabytes of data were basically sent to China, you think, well, we might want to rethink our strategy of security. Nah, she'll be right. Lowest bidder. Come on down.
Yeah. Deary me, not good at all.
Yeah, but you've seen the inside of bureaucracy, so you're not surprised, are you?
No. Well, I can.
Your
it's
life
safe
was
to
in the
say that
hands of
my
the lowest
characters in my
bidder.
book.
Yeah, your life was in the hands of the lowest bidder.
Exactly.
What advice would you give a new writer? And haha, that's you, right?
A new writer. That is me.
Yeah,
I will give one bit of advice. Well, how about here's some things I've learned recently. Ask people stuff. It sounds crazy, right? But I was on Twitter. I think I've been on a year, but I didn't really do anything because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was on Facebook and other stuff, just sort of bopping along, being like, "Oh, here I am. I went to the gym" or something silly. But recently, I've been like, it's like, what is this? How does this work? And I'll get 500 people respond and explain things to me. I'll be like, what does an editor actually do? Or what does an agent do? Do you need an agent? I do my own research, but it's really good to hear from people that are doing it, that do it for a living, some of them. So just asking people, and especially I found on Twitter, that community is amazing. So just ask. That's the biggest tip I've got. Don't have to. I know we're probably usually more introverted humans, and we all like to sit in our writer hovel under blankets and hack away. But yeah, just ask people. It's been great. Most people want to help, especially what I found on the internet with, Twitter and that sort of stuff, or X or whatever we're calling it. Just ask people stuff. If you've got questions, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. That's the biggest thing I've learned in the last 2 or 3 months. That's greatly helped me on my journey so far.
Oh, absolutely. I do writing tips videos, not just the interviews. I did a couple of unboxings. It's just, hey, we can't tell. I'm into anime.
Nice.
But, asking questions on Twitter. Hey, nobody calls it X. That's the first thing you find out.
I did find that out very quickly. Yes, I did. I got corrected.
Only Elon calls it X. Yeah.
True.
That's the first thing you find out.
He probably doesn't in public. He probably only does it in public too.
In private, he's just sitting there. It's X. It's X. It's X. It's X.
Come on, guys. It cost me billions of dollars. Please call it X.
It cost me $1 trillion. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first thing you find out is the writing community. Wow, another writer. Oh my God, somebody has a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah. What's that? Shared pain or something like that, lessens the burden.
There's hardly any gatekeeping. There's hardly any, what are you up to? There's hardly any of that. Most of those quickly get we're not talking to you again.
It's been amazing. Yeah, I'm shocked at how awesome the community is. I was surprised.
Yeah, there's a few. I've had a few people block me because they don't like my genre or they don't like my content.
That's on them.
But most people move on and don't even deal with them either. Because we're not royalty, okay? We may create without a writer, you don't have entertainment. Yet we're the least remembered, the least thought about, and the least paid.
Yeah, that's it. But that's my hot tip for young players like me. Is just ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't learn if you don't ask. But in the writing community, there's no such thing as a 100%. Stupid question. 100%. No such thing as a stupid question. Ask. Even the simple stuff. Yep. Because writers make the most common mistakes. We may eventually master spelling, but we never master grammar. Never, ever, ever master grammar. Nobody, very few people ever master grammar. So,
just,
But every writer makes mistakes. Okay, we're only human, right? Some of us can churn out a book a month, and that's well, we're not talking about real books here. We're talking about 50,000 word novellas, and they have no life. Well, that's right. If you want to be a writer, you have no life. All right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what you're doing.
It's what you're doing. Even if you're making podcasts and YouTubes, it's the same thing. You make them and then realize that wow, I just finished a book. Yeah, okay. I'm 6 books in. Here's my stack of notes. What have you been doing? Oh, I went out last night. Day off. Nice of you. I thought you were a writer.
Yeah, there's no days off, is there? I think like a bit of code, I've probably had 4 days off writing, I think, in the last 4 years.
Yeah. The thing is, well, I started a long time ago, but then I stopped because I wanted to be a coder, write video games, and that really crashed and burned. Then I got married, and then the stories, it was like a volcano, right? The plug was chattering, I just sat down and 2 years later I had thousands of words that I had to sort, and I published it as a book, and then well, people liked it, but it was a little too long. So, and then I had and then I fell into the self-publishing trap. I had difficulties, so I paid an editor and write to do the cover and publishing side because because I was having difficult. Amazon wasn't as easy then as it is now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's been a big change, even just in the 4 years I've been watching. Very different world for authors, sorry.
And out of $42, I got 5 cents. I really got pissed. I wanted to know where my money was going. Why is it costing so much? And they just said, if you don't like our services. What services? What are you doing? Please justify the money. Where is it all going? And when do I start making money? And they just go on and on and on and on and ad nauseum. And then you just realize, delete. Okay, you're done. You're not representing me. You're not doing anything for me. And sure, it's nice the fact that I was selling a book a month, but for 5 cents.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that's changed reasonably in the last couple of years. So I don't think it might go to like $4 a book, but it's not going to be huge.
It's not like $4 a book. I'm selling my ebooks $4.99, and you know what the back end's like. Amazon is taking half, but they say, up to 70%. No, you're taking half and then calculating. They take almost half for fees, and then they say, now we calculate your share. So they hit you twice.
Yeah, okay.
Most people haven't realized
and then if you
that.
use someone like Draft to Digital or Ingram Spark that get it onto Amazon, if you're not doing direct, they'll take their bit as well. And stuff.
I use Draft to Read for everybody else because I'm not going through I'm not going through that.
Yeah.
I'm not going through all that with the audio and the ebook and digital. But it's really weird. Sometimes Barnes and Noble will show my book twice, which is weird because they won't marry the audio book to the ebook. So you got audio book, paperback, and the paperback is, and then on the ebook you've got ebook and the paperback, and the audio book you got the paperback. Because they spider Amazon, you see, because they get commit, which is weird. But I was looking at the business news the other day, and they said, and they had an interview with Jeff Bezos saying, "Well, Amazon's coming to the end of its life," and it's like, what? And he just doesn't care. Doesn't give two figs that the company is in free fall. It's like, what?
Yeah, you think that's your baby, right?
That's your baby. What am I going to do? Because Nobody uses anything else. 25% of the marketplace is full of Barnes and Nobles and all the others, but they're not. People, it's like you go to your phone. There's no Barnes and Noble. There's no reading app that competes with Kindle, or even as good as Kindle.
No, not even close.
But then I realized that there's gonna if Bezos is right and believes that we're coming to the end of the business cycle, which is fair enough. It's a 15-year business cycle, and that he's already survived. He's survived 2 economic collapses. But if he doesn't survive this economic collapse, that's it for Amazon, because, a couple, there's no more investors. There's no more venture capitalists. There's no more bailouts, that's what they're expecting.
No. Well, yeah. No, that makes sense, right? Like it's at its peak.
So and I'm thinking, well, okay, Prime would survive. Prime and Kindle would probably survive if they got rid of all the rest. That it was just Kindle and Prime. That would suit me because, okay, I make less on the printed book than I do on the ebook anyway.
Yes, true.
And most people who ask for a copy of the printed book, it's either going to be it's going to be print on demand anyway, and that's going to be, doesn't matter who is that provider. Amazon print on demand is the most expensive. It is the most expensive in the marketplace. Yet half the time they forget. Half the time when it's sent to you, the bloody publishers put his bloody pricing in it. It's got his price tag. I've had my book come out to people with the price tag on it. They're calling me up and basically bitching. It's not my fault that Amazon charges me $5-something per book, and Amazon only pays $2-something per print run. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was going to say I might even look at. Oh, sorry. I was going to say I might even look at selling from my own website, right? Like that's an option just through Shopify for ebooks and all that sort of stuff, and print on demand your own way.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That's what I was. I was going to say I'm doing an investigation into POD, and perhaps Ingram and either Etsy or Shopify, because I'm thinking, geez, if I add up Shopify and I add up my sales and look at, say, well, maybe it is worth $20 a month, but not quite. I do have an Etsy store, but Etsy and people with print on demand, they've got some sort of homemade mentality. Very, very hard market because it's so big. And Shopify seems to be more streamlined, and they have a lot more active services, and what they've done is realized you actually save money by paying up front.
Yeah.
But can I afford it? Can I not? But it's eventually is if Kindle is probably in one of the few survivors of the expected economic crash of 25.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you watch Business Use It All, because hey, I research, right? Cade's the richest guy in the empire. He has a business empire, so I got to do research. What does an business empire look like?
Yeah.
What's a corporate structure? Wait a minute, I did business management years ago. I should know this. What's a corporate structure?
Yeah.
Okay, the main. Forget about the board. Okay, we've got the CEO, the banker, and the lawyer. That's all we have to care about. Okay, nobody remembers who's the financial officer or the second in charge of marketing and distribution, right?
Yeah.
Who? I work for Johnson & Johnson. I'm the chief marketing officer. Oh, okay, yeah, go away, you're nobody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure you are, pal.
Corporate structure, when you're researching,
I know about them.
This is good for when you're researching. Just look for the top lines, because when you're writing a book, you're only writing the top line of almost everything anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
I also did a series on world building, which actually might be on my Rumble. So
check that out.
check that out. Because when you're world building, you have world, you have civilization, right? City building,
Yeah.
and then you have faction building. And
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the techniques are the same. You're just watering it down each stage.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That's cool.
But of course, one thing about writing, and
Yeah.
you as a gym guy, I got a good joke for you. You know, you're coming home all sweaty, and so they say you've been to the gym. Nah, the library. Running backwards and forwards doing all the research.
Yeah. Oh,
But
dear.
how do you
Good
deal
one.
with stress?
Me, so this is a tricky one. Like, I don't really get stressed after being in the military for a long time. You know, no one's shooting at me anymore. I go get my coffee
Yeah, I
and waltz
suppose
down,
it
and
take high threshold.
yeah, exactly right. It's more the issue in you'll see with a lot of veterans potentially is like a lack of stress is more of an issue than overstressed, because our stress sort of happiness, that flow state is quite high as to where you need to be in a habit. So it's more when you get down here is when you see more of an effective stress, is when you don't have enough going on, and that's when you get your stereotypical bearded fat dude is sad, and that after getting out of the military is because there's not enough stress. But for me, as I said, internal stress isn't usually an issue. Obviously, I want to do a lot, so external stress is a real thing. I do actually need to sleep, and I do need to eat healthy food. So if those sort of things are getting in the way, it's just more sleep, more vegetables, and getting outside, really. It's the key things. Making sure you're exercising, touching grass occasionally, because I know we like to hide in the dark and put our, ambient music on and type all day. But, you got to see the sun occasionally and all that sort of stuff.
That's just big sun talking there, boy. That's big solar. They got to you.
They got to me. No, that's low vitamin D, I think. Well, you're up in Queensland. I'm down in Canberra, right? So half of the year we don't get the sun.
Canberra, you're born
which
with
is
low
just the way I
vitamin
like
D.
it, nice and grey.
Canberra, what's the sun? There's this grey thing with a little bright spot.
Yeah, it comes out for 3 hours in the middle of the day, and you stand in it.
Been to Canberra. You walk, it's very crowded, and then suddenly you step out, and there's this huge open area, and there's the government buildings way over there, and it's like, what the freaking waste of space? All right, it's government planned.
Yeah. It is. I love it down here. Except it's meant to be autumn, and it's like 34 degrees today, and I'm not having a bar of that whatsoever. It's well above my threshold as a Canberran.
That's it.
I don't like it when it gets above 20.
I'm in Canberra. It's
Yeah.
In the equivalent northern hemisphere, this would be very cold. Okay, because I've been in the northern hemisphere. I know what cold is like. But I've been in Canberra, and the morning was absolutely frostbitten. Frost -4, and then within minutes of the sun coming over the horizon, the sky is grey, and yet it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. And just doesn't stop until the sun's gone. And then it's bitter cold instantly.
I think it has the biggest daily temperature ranges for a capital city in the southern hemisphere. So you'll literally get, like you said, -2 to -4, up to 20 in a day. It's all about layers. Us Canberrans, we like to layer ourselves so we can take things on and off as the day moves. Because as soon as that sun drops in the evening,
Melbourne, 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah, that's a different beast. I
That's
much
a
prefer
different
my
beast,
Canberra
but
weather.
it's a lower temperature range, but it's all the seasons.
Yes,
And it's
it is. Yep, and it'll
and
change in
never
15
in
minutes
order.
down there too. No,
Yeah.
no, it's not, is it?
But Canberra, it's just high. Winter, summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, and that's just daily cycles all year round.
Yeah, which is good in winter. To be fair, we have that nice winter where you can go outside and in the middle of the day, and it's not windy and wet and yuck, and you'd be like, oh, it's quite nice to be outside in winter during the day. You'll need to rug up, but it's nice, which I do appreciate.
And the thing is, if you read this in a fantasy setting, you go, there's no place like that. There's no place like that.
Yeah. It's a hell of a town. We also have like the worst.
It's the mythical land of Oz.
Capital of Oz. Yeah. But I do love it down here. It is good. I do like my seasons. You get them all.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's a good place.
But yeah, I understand internal stress, because internal stress, your daily life, juggling, balance, work
Yeah.
balance. Must write. Writing takes a lot of time. Editing.
Yeah.
And to become a good writer, you got to write more and edit even more.
Yep.
Write more, edit even more, and so like it's a cycle. And
Yeah.
if you actually edit as you write, you'll write more. That's my
something I've
latest
learned this
video I
time.
did on that. Yeah, that's something I learned from my second book, really, that instead of writing the whole lot and then editing it, write and edit, write more, but then then edit even more than you write.
Yeah, I towards the end of this book, the whole 270,000 words, I got to like 200,000 words, and I was like, what happened in chapter 4? Went back and oh god, so I edited for like 6 months to get myself up to speed.
Yeah.
But for the next book, it'll be write maybe 3 or 4 chapters, edit 2 or 3, write 3 or 4 more, edit 2 or 3, and just do that cycle, which I think will save me so much time and just make
do
a better
about
product.
A chapter a month, but once sometimes I can get up to 50,000 words in a month, but I that's pushing it. Having nothing. That's having nobody come over for coffee. That's having no birthdays. That is having no movie events and no sleep, of course.
Yeah. No, sleep's the thing of the past, definitely.
But what do you do when you're not writing? Because that in between,
besides working and hanging out with the kids, working again.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I guess for fun sort of stuff. I love exploring and then going on adventures, which is probably a theme of the book anyway. It's probably why it's in there. I went up to Sydney like 3 times last year with a young fella. We just planted ourselves right in the middle of the city, no tourist stuff, and we'll just explore and where can we go underground and what's down at the harbour. We do it in Canberra as well. We'll just go walking and see what we can find. And I just love exploring and checking things out. I mean, I'll ride my skateboard when I'm not too injured because I'm older now. Hop on the bike, same thing, but they're just tools to explore more. So I guess like that's probably one of my favorite things to do is just get out and get exploring because, I get my exercise, I get my sunshine, it's good for creativity, all that sort of stuff wrapped up in one. And besides that, a cheeky little D&D campaign every now and again never hurts either.
So to say, I've sort of beyond D&D, but I understand.
Yeah, it's fair.
I understand that a lot of people still like it, and I don't blame them because it's so well established now.
Yeah, I think
there
half
are
of
things
it's
that I wish. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think half of it's D&D itself, half of it, because we're all, middle-aged folk, it's, no kids, they're at home, we get snacks, we get to hang out all day with each other. I think that's, that's half of the joy of it as well, because we do like one day a month when we're playing. So it's, you just get to be an adult having fun with your mates, which is probably what takes up with, with no burdens of stress and kids, make my lunch and whatever, going on. I think that's half of the enjoyment. And then D&D is just a good way to have a bit of fun doing that.
Because in the tabletop sphere, you've only got a small handful. Most of them are science fiction. D&D is like still the biggest of all. There's more D&D than any other product put together. But I'm really surprised at science fiction. I was really surprised. More people play Cyberpunk than play D&D, but they play the games on the computer. And it seems like that with every science fiction RPG, it's why would we want to play tabletop? We've got the game. And I guess that's understandable now. Whereas D&D,
you look at like Mass Effect, Cyberpunk, the storytelling, the quality, it's so easy just to sit there and take all that in. But yeah, D&D, I don't know, it's easy as well. The buy-in's pretty easy for D&D, especially with all the apps and everything now.
Yeah.
It's just simple.
It's just that I think it's because D&D came first. It captured the imagination and it captured the investor, right? Who poured lots of money in. The TSR went from a niche guy going around with a hobby store with a 9-page booklet or whatever it was, for a dollar. You plus it used to be low priced. I think
Yeah. Well,
one
do
of
you
the things slowly strangling D&D's price.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's better now. Did you ever watch? And this is something I'm a big fan of. Is, do you ever watch Critical Role and their sort of evolution to
Yeah,
bring D&D back into the mainstream? I think that's helped a
yeah,
lot with not only D&D's popularity, but also sort of making that buy-in a bit easier now, and all the apps they've developed and that. Like, you can just get D&D Beyond. It's free on your phone. Create a character. It'll roll the dice for you. Your DM can see it. Everything's in there. Like, it's so easy to play now.
yeah. But I think
Yeah.
another one is virtual tabletop.
Yeah. Okay. What's that one? I don't know that one. Oh, is that another app?
It's a web. You can play D&D with anybody from around the world through a web app.
Oh, yeah, we did during COVID. We played online. I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was that one, but I know what you mean. That's sort of, you literally, same again.
Yeah,
You
no,
can
but
see
it's
your
all
characters on there, and
there's like 6 or 9 websites, but they're all VTT. They're all driven by the same engine,
oh, okay,
but they're all
yeah,
on
cool,
separate logins. So you can't play. You can.
yeah,
I think you can export characters with some, but you can't re-import them. Right? There's only a few
yeah,
that
right,
allow imports or whatever. But virtual tabletop, if you used it, I recommend. I sell on drive-through RPG, so I know a little bit
yeah,
about the back end. So
okay,
but a lot of them now, they this product is VTT compatible. So you want to upload your VTT, so people are creating VTT files now for D&D. It's like there's probably more VTT stuff than this year alone than there is in the
yeah,
last
yeah,
few years. It's really catching on.
yeah, cool,
But D&D Beyond, I think, is probably going to. It's probably just. I think it is VTT where you got the virtual maps, the virtual.
yeah,
That's what the virtual tabletop does. It has the maps, it has your characters,
yeah,
it has all the
yep,
tables.
yep,
It's just D&D Beyond doesn't have the expansion that the other sites do, where you can go right.
yeah,
I want to plug in this. I want to plug in that.
yeah, yeah, true, very true. I'm sure they'll get there.
But the new one, and the race is on for VTT cartography. Where virtual cartographer, you just draw your map or get
Yeah,
somebody else's map and just straight into your campaign. It's all going to
yeah,
be
that'd be very
tabletop.
cool.
It's all going to be virtual. Book buying is almost a thing of the past anyway. With
Yeah,
people saying, "Oh, I want." I've seen so many writers now, even on X, they're only advertising their ebook.
yeah, it's an interesting one, that one. I still, like, nothing smells better than a bookstore, right? I
Yeah,
still love holding books, but to be fair, with manga in particular, I definitely like to have that book in my hand. But
yeah,
I love audiobooks because I can walk the dog, I can go outside, I can listen to it in the car. Ebooks easy. Once again, you can flick through it, super simple. You don't have to carry an extra thing around. So I definitely see that happening. I don't think books will go away, but yeah, it's definitely a different game.
I'm just saying that when it comes to the population, they did a study and find that it seems
Yeah.
to always hover around 1/3 of people are tactile. They'll
Yep.
always buy the book. But there's
Yeah.
1/3 they call the adventurous, and they'll
Yep.
buy it. They'll read. They're the former librarians. So you got the
Okay.
librarians, right? So 1/3 would buy the book. The other 2/3 of readers would be librarians, but they're split into half. So you got a third librarian, a third ebook or audiobook, and a
Yeah.
third paper. But the
Yeah. Okay.
ebook and audio are starting to split. So ebook and audio. So if you've got an ebook,
Yeah.
you're narrowing your market because the ebook market's shrinking to the audiobook. But the paperback mob seems to be around the tactile experience is around a
Yeah.
third. And the librarians, well, if your book's not in a library, a virtual, but see about the librarians, there's
Yeah.
shifting to virtual libraries.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That
That's
makes
where
sense.
draft to digital comes in because they're now expanding into virtual
Yeah.
libraries.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of my books just got picked up by Virtual Library, although it hasn't made much. it's at least
Yeah.
an increase, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to worry and track all these different companies. Apple recently said, hey, we're not taking digital voice books anymore, and dropped me. And I thought, I can't go to ASX and get an audiobook. Available. I have to pay somebody in America half my income. It's gatekeeping. F you,
Yeah,
man.
right.
You're gatekeeping. And
Yeah.
all these gatekeepers out there. I mean, I didn't like Apple as a company anyway. They're highly unethical.
Yeah. I know
I don't
Spotify did
particularly
something
like
very cheeky the
Google,
other day as well. Yeah.
I don't like Google, but at least they opened up audiobooks to people outside of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think what I was going to do is I've done a little experiment. I've made the first couple of chapters of my book into like an audio drama, like a radio drama. So
Yeah.
I've used different text-to-speech stuff from Microsoft Azure, which is really high quality now. So they are synthesized voices, but they're actual paid voice talent, and you're given permission to use their voices. It's not like a rip AI thing. And then I've added sound effects and music, and I talk in there a little bit. I'm just going to release it as a podcast because it goes, as you know, you're doing podcasts. Anyone can get it, right? You can put it through Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube, everywhere, right? So I think that's one of the methods.
Spotify has a new service, Findaway, where you can do your entire audiobook on Findaway. And
yes, did you see what happened there? Did you see what happened there with their Spotify and their little whoopsie they had the other day with their contracts with audiobooks?
Yeah, because some of them won't do digital voices. Yeah.
Oh no, they it was in the new update that they said any audiobooks on Spotify owns that IP and the rights to do other stuff with it.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, it got squashed very quickly. I don't know if somebody stuffed up and put it in there or if it was something, but yeah, Spotify actually broke down because so many people were removing their audiobooks. And they had to change it. So it maybe changed. I haven't looked at the news recently, but yeah, that was one that popped up the other day. My colleague who does the news bit of our podcast informed me of, and I was like, "Oh, whoops!" That's a way to shoot yourself in the foot, Spotify, if you're trying to take over that audiobook domain.
No, because that's what Facebook tried to do too. Hey, we own your video. You upload it, we now own it. You can't distribute it elsewhere, and so people said, remove.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the internet now. I can just put it on my own website. I don't need you. I can go get my own audience. I can funnel and whatever.
That's what somebody said to me the other day. They said, look, in a few years, some of these sites will shut down. It's inevitable. There's too many of them.
Yep. Well,
that's where I got the link about.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, remember, like Netflix came out, right? And it was like, wow, everything in one place. You don't have to go to 80 different channels to watch stuff. But now Netflix, Binge, Amazon, Disney, Stan, you're back to, I think I have to have 4,000 subscriptions to watch what I want or do what I want.
And so now it costs more than, now and then it costs more than an Optus package or a Telstra package or Stan package or this new service. And no, I'm not going to do that. No. And you're not going to allow any password share. So if I'm watching Stan on my system and my son wants to watch Stan on the other system, he can't, or anything like that. So I said, no, I'm not going to buy any of them. I said, F you to the lot, because you went from being $10 a month to $15 a month to $39 a month. And I said, that's it, you're gone. And worse, they stopped sending me discs. I had, what's the point? You shut, and then they shut down. Well, that's your fault because you took away what the customer liked.
Yeah, exactly right. So moving forward, though, I think that's an option that I'm also starting to look at marketing and all that sort of stuff. Is that we have why not go out there and gain 100, 1,000, I don't know, loyal readers of your book and just direct them directly to your website. You probably get the same amount and effort that you would for having it in front of 1 million people. Yeah.
I'm looking at marketing. if I had the money, I'd do a test marketing and do it live, right? Show people and do it, because one, I noticed with Facebook ads, for out of different days, different costs, and different results. They're promising up to, I think the highest was for $1,430 for a $30 spend, plus if they give right, if you're in total good standing, they give you another $30 credit on the next one.
Okay. Yep.
Out of that, you're only going to get 1 to 7 hits with an expect to buy. So you out of $30, $60 credit, total spend $90, you may sell one book.
Yeah, and you can probably just...
That is not capitalism.
That is for some
gatekeeping. That's the landlord.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think you're better off getting potentially.
That's the landlord.
Yep.
So, and it's not better on Amazon. $100 spend, right? Amazon, I think it's $100 spend.
Yeah.
To sell one book. That's ridiculous. Who are these people marketing books on Amazon that are selling so much?
Yeah, it's
that they keep advertising on Amazon. No, I think that's the problem. That's why our low end isn't working, because there's too many at the high end advertising. So our ads are not going to be. Our ads are not going to appear to the people who are going to read to our book, because the people who buy corporate books tend to buy corporate books.
Exactly.
They're not advertising to an niche, audience. Yeah. And if you're in a niche like science fantasy, you have to have somebody who's bought both science fantasy, science fiction, and a lot of those are going to be Star Wars readers. And I'm sorry, 90% of those don't read anything but Star Wars. It's the same with Star Trek, and it's the same with Harry Potter fans. Yeah. They did a study. I think it was like half of Harry Potter fans have never read another book in their life.
Yeah, it's like the sporting team thing, right? Like, this is my team. This is what I do. I don't look at anything else. Yeah,
and interesting. That's what I mean. Doing something like that live and exposing this advertising industry to everybody else. But I'm just going to have to do it anecdotally on my next video. But really, people don't pay. Okay, the bottom end of the market, the bottom 10,000 are just what do you call it? You know, petty change, petty cash. Okay, it's a little okay. It means nothing to them. Okay, giving you that 1,400, they could give you 14,000. They could give you $1 million for $30.
Yeah.
Okay, they are deliberately selling us false hope. Now, I believe that it's been experimented on Twitter, but I haven't got access. That's the $5 promotion. I have got no information on that or how well it sells or how well it works.
Yeah,
but that's
super interesting.
When you're marketing, and that's super ridiculous to pay for it, because they're gatekeeping you. They are deliberately reducing your range so that you're forced to pay to advertise beyond your current audience. Yet the people beyond your current audience are members of how many other audiences?
Yeah.
So they're getting.
They probably ticked. I like.
And you think how many? You're paying $30 for that one little thing that might sit there and be clicked by. I remember I've spent $800 on advertising and got virtually no results. It's not worth it. And I've tried to tell people, and I've never come across anybody who's advertised and said, yeah, it's worked for me.
Yeah, I don't see too much. You know, you can go to all the, I call them Twitter bros, but, all the money Twitter and all the sales guys, they'll break it down. They'll be like, you might have 100 people in the audience, 3% will go to the next step, and then 1% will go to that step. And, so you got to do all your research, which is next on my list to do.
Yeah. Actually, there's also a current marketer who tried guerrilla marketing, rule of 10. I think the problem is with the guerrilla marketing guy. I think that he gets you in, right, because it's expensive. He gets you in. He'll give you a couple of sales back, right? That's his. He can afford to get you in for the next package, and then sucker. I guess your product wasn't good. No marketer. Look, you can have the best product in the world. You're not going to sell tampons to a man. You're not going to sell high heels to some. You're not going to sell high heel dress shoes to many old ladies. They cannot find markets for books. Okay, that's why you hardly see books being marketed in the first place.
Yeah. So I guess
and Amazon,
got to go find my own
look
audience.
At what
then.
you're up against. You're up against Barnes and Noble. You're up against. Well, not Barnes and Noble. Sorry, you're up against Penguin, Random House, and people whose advertising budgets are in the millions.
Did you see? Nothing against the author. I haven't read any of the books, but is it Sarah J. Maas? Like, the behind her latest stuff, and they had midnight, celebration parties around the world and stuff. It's like it's hard to compete with.
Yeah, how? And here's another thing. I'm sorry, guys, but 80% of women won't buy a book off a man. That is the latest statistic that I've been told. 80%.
Wow.
If that's as high as that. It used to be hard. It used to be fairly 50-50, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I am absolutely flabbergasted, right, with the way marketing works now. Is that it's not about marketing, it's about gatekeeping. It's the big companies look at it this way. If I'm not advertising, somebody else is. So if I buy that advertising spot, that's denying my competition public exposure.
Yeah. I understand what they're doing.
And when you're marketing on Facebook, Twitter, or I forget where else. Let's say you do a book ad on TikTok.
Yeah.
How many people are going to watch an ad? How many people are using ad blockers? How many people are going to skip? Just think of your own habits before you advertise. And you go, yeah. Tell me the last ad you saw. Like, sure, Colgate, yeah, but Colgate advertised for how long? Do you have market penetration? Are you a big company with government contracts? Stop. You can't compare book marketing to anything else.
No. Well, that's a great point, right? I think the last couple of books I bought are from people I know, right?
Yeah. And the book, you think, but the bookstore wants to make money. Yeah. The publishers sell their books to the bookstores for 25% off. Amazon isn't. So they're selling a $40 book because on the front shelf, because they're making 25% more than selling my book. Why would they want to sell my book at all?
Yeah. Makes sense. So I guess you got to sell your own book is what you're telling me? After all of this, it's on me. This guy has to go sell his books.
I'm not just telling you. I'm telling people out there as well. The reasoning behind it is like, you're a writer. You have to understand the reasoning behind it. They say, oh, that's just his experience. But it's got to make sense to a lot of people understanding that.
Yeah.
Think of how many people are following you are authors. Right? I got at least 50% who are second or third book published.
Yeah.
You don't see any of them promoting at all. I'd be on Twitter or Facebook. Most of them have dropped. I've seen a lot of people dropping their merch stores. I've seen a lot of people just not mentioning it anymore, not mentioning their podcast, not mentioning anything anymore.
Yeah, okay.
It's because it's getting exhausting advertising to the same people day in, day out.
Well, yeah, they get fatigue as well, right?
Everybody gets fatigue, yeah. But marketing fatigue, and I think if it used to be, and I understand, but when Facebook was smaller, they favored the smaller audience. But it ain't that anymore. It's the same with Amazon. You used to have a chance of being on the front page, but you're there for 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, I remember reading it last year. As what the numbers are really weird. I think a lady that was a best-selling author.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. She only sold 500 books, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but that was best-selling author.
There was a category I saw the other day, and they invented this category for somebody, and yeah, because they sold 500 books in a month. Yeah, I think you're looking at the same one. Well, I think we saw the same thing.
Yeah,
They sold
potentially.
500
Yeah,
books and got number one in a category, and
yeah. Well,
that's ridiculous.
there's that fella. He's big on Facebook, and he runs that Facebook group. Is it first book to 50K or something? I can't remember what it is. And he just bought a whole bunch of his own books when they came out, I believe, so he could just sign them and give them to people. But because he bought, 400 copies, he's a pretty well-off author. It put him in a bestseller, and everyone's like, you're gaming the system.
Yeah, somebody said the other day that all these bestsellers on Fox, Newsmax, CNN, MSNBC, they're all staff. They're all staff writers. They all got bestsellers, and they're all the same generic. They're all the same generic. Oh, this is my life books, and it's the same with Michelle Obama. Who bought Michelle Obama's books? Each university bought 1,000 copies for their library. Like,
yeah, wow, yeah. But like you said, I think it's coming. Yeah, but I think it's coming to an end. Like you said, with Amazon, I think people are getting smarter. I think people are realizing this. Like 5 years ago, maybe we would have been like, oh, we'll just go in there and everything will be fine. I think the consumer's getting smarter to sort of big corporations and stuff as well.
Yeah, we'd be talking about our Amazon ads. We'd be saying, well, you got to change your keywords every month, but that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
But now, doesn't matter what your keywords are, because there are 50,000 books in every category. So Amazon are trying to create more and more categories.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's super interesting. And, as I said, I've got to come up with a marketing and strategy sort of plan in the not too distant future. So I have to take all of this in and think about how I want to do it. But once again, like you, we're writing because we love writing. If I can sell some books, that's cool. But I won't be quitting the day job anytime soon.
You and 10,000 people a month. I mean,
yeah.
Let's just use the 10,000 model, which is outdated. But
yep.
out of 10,000 authors, 1,000 are going to sell over 500 copies in a year. 100 are going to sell over 10,000 copies a year.
Yeah.
And so on until you get to that one person who's going to sell 1 million copies. And their next couple of books are going to be a hit, but on a constant decline.
Yep.
And then they're going to be like J.R.R. Martin. I can't finish my last book. If I finish it, I'm finished. Nobody's going to want me around. I'm J.K. Rowling. I have to do a huge extravaganza song and dance. But okay, so while you're telling me you wrote books under different names while you're also writing a movie script and making celebrity appearances, no wonder the quality of your work's in decline. Or, as I'm told by industry insiders, nah, bro, it's all ghostwriters. It's all
smoke and mirrors.
editors. Yes, it's all smoke and mirrors. That you sit down and write a book. She sits down and writes outlines and then hands it to people.
Yeah. Hey, to each their own. I'm just glad that I enjoy my writing. It's an art for me.
Yeah, but you could tell a writer. That's what. When you're a writer, you could tell a writer. And these smug guys sitting on the TV, sitting back, going, "Yeah, I'm a bestseller." You're like, "No, you're not." Your studio bought your book. You bought 10,000 copies, handed out stuff.
Part of the business. Yeah.
So you're a celebrity on television. You didn't write shit. All right. Writers write. You tell. You know what I mean? When you're a writer, you can tell a writer.
Yeah.
Same when you're a soldier, you can tell that guy.
Yeah,
knows.
yeah, definitely. That's it. And, and that's the other thing for me anyway, is like, I don't just want to write, I want to do radio dramas, and I want to do my own manga or graphic novel. Like it's a thing that needs to
I'm
happen in
working
my
with
life
an
that I have
artist
to get
now,
out.
and
You know
it's
what I
so
mean?
difficult. I'm working with an artist, and it's so difficult. And even with artistry, you're looking at hundreds of dollars per page. Okay,
I'm going to do my own
and
because
you're
I'm an
looking at
idiot. So
yeah. Well, I can't draw for shit.
I've got at least 4 years of learning to get to the starting mark, but it's down the road.
Look,
But yeah, that's the buy-in for me. Is I know I'll have to do at least 4 years of hard work to get to the point where I can
you
draw
think
something
AI
reasonable.
can come up with this? You think AI could come up with that? You're decades away from real freedom. Where this is the thing. I was speaking with when I was at university. We were speaking with the guys, the professors on AI, and they were saying basically AI will free the artist, right? Because you'll do the impossible, right? Think of all the things you can't do. Think of all you think of the people who sit there like hours laboring over each cell. Because back then, CGI was cell by cell. You had to literally put the cell onto a projector. You had to draw on the computer, and it would be projected over the cell and then you had to get a special cell photography, right, where you printed a cell of the CGI and then printed it and then merged the two cells on a special projector. That you think how much we've progressed since then, right? And AI still see, AI isn't about self-awareness. It's about algorithms, error corrections, and coming up with the best results so that when you draw a line, it's the line you want. When you draw a face, it's a face. All your smudges, errors, and distortions will be gone. All your height corrections. You start specifying details, pointy ears, long nose. It gets better and better. You think about character creators in a video game. That's AI art.
Yeah. Oh, just even, iPad, ProWritingAid, any of those type of tools, just how incredibly powerful they are. And you're still drawing, you've still got your hand on there, but insane leaps.
Well, that's what real
what you can
AI art is. It's giving people who can't do something but need to do it, right? You think about a movie. Movies, 15, 20,000 people, yet a handful of Japanese can go out and make Godzilla and trounce MCU movies. A handful. Because they have all the technology behind them. Whereas
it should be minimizing the gap from here to out in the world, right?
They do all their own. They do their own dressing, their own costumes, their own. They take all the extraneous. They bring their own food. They don't have the catering. They don't have. When it comes to the CGI, right? They build the practical set and then just overlay the CGI around it. They have the artist, the director. They're all and the editor are just a team working together. Where it's not a factory studio where one guy does one job and the next guy. No, they're working 6-12 months from script to finish. The entire production. Well, not really a handful, a few thousand people, but it's like they had like a 20th of the staff working on a 20th of the budget, and they produced 10 times the work. And that's what the power of AI is supposed to do. It's supposed to take the errors out of the process. That's what it was when I was doing computer science. That was the whole point behind algorithms. Why? Because there's a bunch of military guys sitting in the background going, we have all these variables in a missile. We can't calculate them all. So they come up with an algorithm to error correct. So the missile is given a target, given a position, given an image of what it's supposed to hit, and the algorithm does the rest, the steering, looking for the object, can't see the object, where's the object, get message, am I on target, am I on direction, am I on course, all these things.
Yeah.
And of course, it's happening at 3-4 times human speed.
Mm.
There's no way human's going to sit
Yeah.
there with a joystick and
No.
guide that missile in.
No.
No, he's just sitting there
Yep.
with the optical scope, hoping that the tank isn't going to speed up too quickly so he can keep it on target. And the missile will do the rest.
That's it.
And all the technology and machinery in the satellites. That's AI algorithms.
Oh,
That's what
definitely.
they do. Take all the variables and compress them into a yes or no.
Yeah. Technology supremacy has been, the way to win wars since, we had cannons and they didn't, right? Like, it's just the next version of that technology. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's AI, and now it's drones. You saw $10 million tank.
Yep.
$300 drone.
Yep.
Boom. What $10 million tank? Just drop for the turret. Okay, we keep the turret hatch closed. Okay, boom, there goes your track.
Yeah.
Or just put 10 drones on your engine and blow it off.
Yeah.
Old adage.
Different.
Why did we stop
very
using
interesting.
armor? We stopped using armor because a 17th century sword, because your centuries of armor were useless. Your 17th century saber right through the center of the chest of your thickest chest plate, and if you made it any thicker, you couldn't stand up. Armor was useless,
redundant.
And same with modern body armor. A lot of Russians now in Ukraine are doing body armor because it's useless.
Yeah, okay. Wouldn't be surprised.
The ceramic plate gets hit, it breaks. The body armor is useless. So if they get hit, they know the next one's going to kill them because ceramic plates. Because the velocity of the new 6.8 millimeter is double that of the 5.56.
Yeah.
And it's the same for the Ukrainians. The Russian 6.2, it's the same with the 6.2 by 41. It may be lighter than the 7.62, but it's not faster. The 6.2 is ripping through body armor. So both sides are now finding body armor is useless because you can't stop it. You can't stop a drone.
It's slowing you down.
It's slowing you down. Yeah, can't stop a drone.
Yeah, heavy, noisy. Yeah, interesting.
And it can't stop these new hypervelocity rounds. Now, neither side has enough of them yet. Like we're only talking about a handful of units have these, but they're snipers. They're sitting there just poof, bang. That guy,
waiting.
And they're not worried about noise because they're not firing a big heavy 50 cal that's going to give away their position. So they can fire, and by the time they work out where the bullet came from, the sniper's already relocated. Whereas he's firing a big and whereas he fires a 50 cal, boom, doesn't matter what suppressor you're using, it's still picked up by the counter battery system, and within moments there's a couple of mortars on that position.
Yeah, they certainly give off a lot of sign, that's for sure.
So and even that now I've studied and I cover the Ukraine war on another channel, and I could tell you that some of the science, I'm doing science fiction research for this too, that the face of warfare, you're going to have weird platforms with drones and missiles. Nothing's going to get within 5 kilometers of each other because anything within 5 kilometers of each other is dead. It's who fired first. Is dead. Loitering munitions is going to turn no man's land even bigger. Once you get loitering munitions, that's it. No man's land is going to be huge. Nobody's going to see the opposition. You're not going to be in range of anybody. Your gun is for shooting at the drone. It's electronic. You're going to have a sidearm.
Game?
You're going to have a sidearm, probably a short rifle. If you've seen the new short rifles, no butt, short barrel. It's a bullpup short rifle, It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
the M4,
Yep.
but it has no butt, and it's only for like 100 yards, right? It's just in case.
Yeah, okay.
You clip
Yeah.
it to your belt, but your main gun is going to be electronic. You're going to be hunting drones.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Detecting
Yep.
and taking out electronic warfare. And you're
Yeah.
going to have a few operators with scopes, just to sweep the area to make sure that there's nothing under a heat blanket or anything like that. Deception warfare is going to be the next big thing. Jamming,
Yes.
heat blankets, false emitters, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Electronic warfare, where you think there's an incoming attack, and you look at your equipment, no hack detected, but it's not. It's a bunch of drones just putting out images of missiles, and then when you're exhausted or fired, or in the case of a Patriot system, fired all your battery, then at 72.5 degrees, a hyper accurate missile is just going to go straight down your barrel because you can't detect it, and because you're focused over there, and above you is an incoming that you can't detect because you're all focused. Because you know how radar systems work, right? Once you detect something, that's it. That's your focus.
Yeah.
It's not going to detect
interesting.
anything outside that. So they'll overload, right? If you can track 32 drones, they'll send 40.
Yeah.
And none of them are there to hurt you. It's the missile. It's the hypersonic, hyper accurate missile that's coming straight down your barrel that you can't detect.
Yeah, wow.
So it's going to be highly mobile, highly electronic. No man's lands are going to go bigger and bigger by the day. Already we've seen with Russia it's all going to be snipers at 1 to 5K with high velocity rounds, specialist rifles, or 5K. They're not shooting bullets; they're shooting rockets, like 2.227s.
Yeah.
They're 20 mils basically. They're firing 20 mils at 5K.
Yeah, so you're not shooting
And
7.62
I think
that
by
far.
the end of the year, we won't see soldiers in range of each other of a normal rifle anymore. She's dead.
Yeah, the landscape's changing.
Yeah. Once
totally different.
Once more hypervelocity 6mm come out, because they've got twice the speed of a 7mm. And that means, they're hitting nearly 35,000 pounds. I don't think there's many body armor that could take more than one, or even one.
No. No. Agreed. I wouldn't want to be on the end of that.
I think the Type 4 tops out at 20,000 pounds, I think, the Type 4.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head on what the current stuff is, but yeah.
No, but the current
Definitely
stuff is Type 5, but, we're talking about Russia and Ukraine. They're all, we're not talking about the Australian Army boarding, some high value target where you got Type 5 body armor and you're only expecting pistols or a submachine gun. You're not expecting a Russian 6.2mm to be in your face.
Yes.
And
true.
No body armor for that. But when you're talking about sniper warfare, that's what they're doing. They're using the heat scope to know where your body armor is exposed. Can't hide it yet. Once your heat blankets come in and they're going to have, like, I've seen this already. The US Army trying out these. They're like tut-tuts. They're like a motorcycle with a hat on the back, and the guy's standing with the big 20mm. I forget, anti-material rifle. It's the anti-material rifle. They rock up. They come up the slope, right? Fire. And then come down the slope and just move on.
Yep. Good tactic.
Landscape warfare. That's what it is. Basically.
Oh, okay.
What they do is they come in with these big bulldozers and they put up all these hills.
Yeah.
All over the battlefield. So instead of digging trenches, they're putting up hills, and these tut-tuts just come up, fire the 20 cal, and then come back down and go along.
Yeah. That sounds like Warhammer stuff right there.
Soldiers are just going to be loaders. Are just going to be navies, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Your sidearms, just in case you overrun. Your sidearm's going to be a mini rifle, not a pistol.
Yeah.
Mini rifles haven't really caught on yet, but they are around. And they are 6mm. They're all bullpup, which is one of the reasons why they haven't caught on really well, because you can't really strip and put back together a bullpup. That was the biggest problem with the LR80, is once you stripped it down and put it back together, you couldn't put it back together as precision as the machine made it.
Yeah.
And it's a precision instrument.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
That's why so many fail, because once you use it a couple of times, it's rattled, it's repair. They're still got to get it right. But once I think the Americans are 6.8 and the Russians are 6.2. Who came first? Nobody really. They spy on each other, all right? Yeah.
Of course they do.
So, but that's the nature of new warfare. So there's a bit of research there for you, a bit of insight into changing dynamics of modern warfare that you're not going to see the enemy.
Yeah, interesting. No, it's super interesting, actually. I mean, I didn't do... Sorry, you go, Matt.
Yeah, even I didn't think of half this stuff. And this is stuff that's happening now where you're going to be using... And they are thinking about... I mean, the Japanese are thinking of using mechs, and I'm thinking, what? Are you crazy? And then it makes sense when you look at what it is. It's an armored mobile platform, right, for urban warfare. They can zip through, stand up, right? They run on all fours, right? They got wheels on all fours. Urban warfare, and it's carrying electronic warfare equipment, radio detection, heat detection, all that stuff, and they can run around really fast. They can, and when they then they can stand up, and that adds so much to their range.
Yeah, okay.
And they're not using conventional weapons; they're electronic warfare platforms for urban warfare.
Yeah,
and it's like, wow,
that links.
Plus, they're also adapting to rescue and construction and other and non-military applications.
Yeah,
so
I was just, it made me laugh because it's looped all the way back around to what we were talking about in Ghost in the Shell with the the little tanks. It's almost come full circle on that one.
And
that's it.
And the thing is, America's leading the way in cybernetic warfare, and we haven't seen that yet anywhere else. I have seen the Russian exoskeleton, and I've seen a possible image of them field testing it, which was posted on Telegram, although it's too fuzzy to tell. But I know the British were trying, and they wasted billions of pounds on that. The problem with exoskeletons is electronic warfare.
Yeah. Right. If it's got an operating system, right?
Yeah. But the British did understand at the time, and this was 20 years ago, that sooner or later, snipers are going to have to evolve to more and more sniping, pushing. You can't fight enemy close quarters anymore.
No.
Especially if you want to reduce casualties, especially if you want to increase survivability, it has to be. And plus, the British are already looking at the cost of the Navy and going, freaking drone boats, man, it's drone swarms, But the Americans said, no, electronic warfare will take care of that. But it hasn't.
No.
Russia's beat them to it. Yesterday, Russia took out over 100 drones in one blast from the LQ system. This is their latest $200 million unit. It's sitting outside of Kursk. Ukraine sent a huge drone swarm, and they all just suddenly fell out of the sky. So it
impressive,
looks like Russia may have an EMP weapon.
Yeah, okay.
A directional.
Yeah, I wonder what it did on their side.
That's the thing. If it's directional and did nothing to their side and only took out the drones, that's a beam weapon.
Yeah, that's serious business.
Concentrated beam weapon that America does not have or shown any capability of having.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think the last country what happened to the last country that did better than America? Oh yeah, Germany. Everybody went to war against them.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
is. I don't care what you
Yes.
say. Germany's
Oh,
mistake was being better, having the best tanks, having the best of everything. That was pure jealousy. Pure jealousy. Didn't matter the politics. The war was already decided before Adolf came to power. The war was already
yeah. Okay.
decided. This has come out recently that Stalin and Roosevelt were planning war before in the 1930s. This before Hitler won the election in 36, wasn't it?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to pull up the
First
history
checked
books for that one, but it sounds
33.
about
He
right.
was dead office in 33, Chancellor in 36. So if they were plotting war in 33, and you had the Ukraine Revolution in 1935, which most people don't know about. You had the Balkans
okay.
Wars in the 1920s.
Yeah.
And you had the China-Japanese War, which America and Russia initially took part in 1924. War was already decided, man. It was already in motion before Hitler came to office.
Yeah. Wow. I'll have to do some reading. My modern history is not that good.
No, but most people don't know about the Ukraine Revolution either. In 35, Bolsheviks killed over 10 million Ukrainians.
Oof.
I
Yuck.
forget who it was. There's Toland. There's a lot of stuff coming out now. Even some Jewish scholars on. I think it's their website is Haraz, Haatz. I think it's, if I remember correctly. They got some stuff. It's basically what they're saying is we know more now about World War II than half the participants in high command because everything was so compartmentalized,
Classified, and okay, yeah. Well,
classified.
yeah.
Like
Wow.
Roosevelt's
Yeah.
agent in Moscow turned out to be a Russian agent, and yet they allowed him to retire with his name intact. He agreed to retire when he was exposed by Hoover.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm going to loop it around on you then. All this stuff you're doing, all this research type of stuff. Say again, sorry?
The thing is, so the Japanese do insist they gave America 6 weeks warning on Pearl Harbor, and they also insist they surrendered before Nagasaki after the fall of Hiroshima, but America wouldn't accept it.
Yeah. Don't know. I'll have to research that one. I haven't heard about that one.
Didn't pass it on. No, Truman, he wouldn't tell Roosevelt. He kept it to himself. 6 guys signed a letter saying that Truman was aware that the Japanese had been trying to surrender, and their man in Moscow who was working for Stalin wanted them to drop the bomb so that he would have something on America because he thought it would turn Japanese, thought it would turn the rest of the countries communist. It did. It put the fear into China and destabilized Korea. Dropping the bomb destabilized Asia on so many levels. People were afraid of upsetting America so much, but that's wearing off. The more people have got the bomb, the more that power declines.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I said I don't know much about that stuff, but I was going to ask because you're doing all this research and stuff. Sorry, I might be getting the hurry up from the boss. Is that all research for books that you do all this? Or is this just a totally separate thing that you're doing?
It's sort of a spoiler. Okay, I've just finished book 4. It's the Erotic Tales. It's basically Cade's coming of age, right? He's a young man, and what do young men do?
Yep.
They plow the field, right? And he's plowed the field. So my 5th book is part 2.
Yep.
Now, part 6 is called Dawn of War.
Yeah, okay.
Cade's actions. Okay, book 3, spoiler alert. Cade's attacked.
Yeah.
There's a dark enemy, ruthless, relentless. He thinks it's gone away, defeated, whatever. He's defeated. Dark Lord's run off, I hate calling him Dark Lord, but he believes he's an agent of light, okay?
Yeah.
He
Okay.
believes he's the light bringer, enlightenment, new age sort of thing. He thinks himself as the light bringer of a new age.
Yep.
He's run off, defeated.
Yeah.
But he finds more and more people who don't like the empire, don't like the idea of empire and that sort of thing. And
Yeah. Okay.
they want to, okay, spoiler, the empire is merging. Okay, the empire, dark elves and the light elves decided to merge, right? Merge society. That the
Yeah.
internal strife, the dark elves society collapsed on the verge of
Yeah.
extinction. So
Yeah. Okay.
they've killed too much. They've killed too much of their own people, right? And in fighting, etc.
Yep.
So they basically merge with the empire, but demand billions of dollars. Of course, I mean trillions of dollars for their little 28 planets. Planets are worth trillions.
That
So
seems reasonable.
give me.
Seems reasonable.
Even though the nuclear wastelands without resources, still give me that sweet gold man, and we'll call it peace. And then they turn around and betray the elves by exposing all their dark secrets. Like some of the lords are actually ladies because there was Amazon laws. It's really complicated, but Cade finally thinks, I could just get back to business of being the king and wait, I'm not the king, I'm the bloody emperor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to plow the field. I'm going to grow the empire. I'm going to expand and, bring about this new glorious age of peace. Meanwhile, the Lightbringer is getting ready to. So, asymmetric warfare. There's no technical warfare is the thing of the past. It's all asymmetric.
Yeah.
We are in World War III.
And that's
we are in the middle of asymmetric warfare. We are in a world war right now. And it have been for quite some time. 70 years, in fact, between Russia and the Soviet Union. But when Russia failed, China took over.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of the Soviet scientists and a lot of the Soviets, you look what happened to the Soviets. Where did they go? Some went to the United States.
Yeah.
What about the others? North Korea and China.
Okay.
Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And it's asymmetric warfare. And that's what I've been researching. And I've been looking at the applications of asymmetric warfare in Ukraine and the battle for the Azov. It should be called the Battle of Azov Sea because it's battling over control of the Azov Sea. Because the Azov Sea, I believe, is the third richest deposit of oil, but it's the tip, right, that goes all the way to northern Iran. Ukraine was getting, I think, 5% of that, and they wanted to take 10.
Yeah.
They wanted by pushing the people of the Donbass out, they would have got a bigger share, right, of the Azov Sea. Taking Crimea took percentages because it's based on your coast. It's not how much oil you got; it's how much coast you have on that oil because you're on the edge. Okay. Everything is considered the edge, right? Russia has the biggest coastline. There's some in Iran, some with Turkey. I think Bulgaria and the Black Sea. They call it the Black Sea oil, but it's not really Black Sea oil. It's not on the other side. It's on this side. It's on the eastern side.
Yeah.
But the other countries get a little bit of taste. They get a discount on gas.
Yeah.
But that's what it's really about.
And, that's what I was saying. Yeah. And that plays out
it's worth $1
in
trillion
your books in a way, does it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing for my book. I'm just extrapolating that.
Yeah, so
you've got a fight over resources, and the resources is planets. Because it doesn't matter how big the spacefaring empire is, you need to grow food. You need planets because you need to There are things that you need, right? And only planets can provide it. Entertainment, open space, population growth,
food, water.
Food, water,
Yeah, interesting.
Even though you could, really build artificial planetoids, you still need planets. You need something to orbit. You need resources. You're always going to need planets for quite some time. And so the Lightbringer, he's looking at this unstable region that the Empire's just taken over, and he's going, you know what?
Yeah,
I think I can illuminate these people, and because the Empire's got dark secrets. You have a few of the. 6 of the leaders were women. During the Civil War, their husbands or their brothers were killed because they were important figures in the empire. Their deaths would have been shattering to the morale, so they stepped up and took their place. Because magic, changing gender,
you mentioned that.
Using magic, you can just do anything you want. Snap your fingers, I'm a new gender. So but now that now that I'm the king, I have to pretend to be king because there's a law against Amazons, because the Civil War was basically women wanting to take over because the men were a minority and were now in minority because of a genetic defect. And the elves didn't want to cure that genetic defect because it meant they would have to give up having multiple wives. You see the issue?
Yeah,
And they trap themselves in a mess of their own making, really.
Yeah, wow.
So
that's very complicated.
And 10,000 years later, it's very entrenched, systemic, right? You imagine 10,000 years of oppressing women. And women wanting to be oppressed because they get all the benefits without having to, they get paid to be wives, they get paid to have children, they get free healthcare, free education, and they have their own mobility.
Okay. I was going, how do you you as the author manage to track all of that across all these series? All these books, sorry. How do you have your own background sort of documentation on that? Or how do you keep up with that?
Spreadsheets. I have spreadsheets for the characters, and as I develop worlds, I don't have that many. Plus, I actually write the RPG rules for that. Okay, here's the Viper 2. What is the Viper 2? It's a bullpup rifle.
Yep.
Okay, caliber.
Yep.
It's a 7mm caseless hyper velocity round.
Yep.
Okay, what sort of ammunition? Okay, the Viper 3. It's going to be a belt-fed version, right? Then you go, all right, Viper 4. No, we're going to start to get technological advance. So we need anti-drone, anti-android, anti-cybernetic weapons. So it's going to be an electronic gun, okay? It's going to be a combination of laser and microwave. So you got the ion beam, the heat beam, and of course it fires a pulse. So that ion pulse disrupts electronics.
Yeah, so you've got those
you write the RPG rules. From
an
RPG perspective, you write the rules for RPG. Same with world. You do a world building, type of world, gravity, population. Have rough ideas. Your character sheets. All these women, the husbands, the different lords. I've got an entire spreadsheet just for the corporate structure of Cade Enterprises with its subsidiaries. Just who's the head, right? Who's the head? The lawyers. Because the lawyer represents a law firm, right? Big law firms. What do these corporations do? How does he make his money? Housing, construction, pornography, drugs, you name it. This guy, he is the king of pornography, the king of gambling, the king. The casinos, brothels, but that's electronics. He's created a mind interface device and a computer, a quantum computer in your pocket. And then you know what happened the other day? Google goes and announces one. Damn you, Google! But he's also solved the problems of flying cars. Of course, there's a secret that he has that he sort of started to make public. That the secret of his success is he's demonically possessed.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So he's not.
Question for you there.
So his magic is enhanced. His mental abilities are enhanced, and he's the mind reader. You imagine walking around you're walking around knowing everybody's secrets.
Oh dear, I don't know if I want to.
No.
But the question is how much of that comes out in the writing, and how much is that your sort of just background knowledge that you use to write? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I use a lot of background knowledge. That's why I research the various wars going on all the time. I'm writing RPG material. I'm literally writing my world. the weapons,
Yeah, okay.
the technology. I've written over 168 articles just to define
Yeah,
the
wow.
world and its technology, and still growing.
Yeah, okay.
I've defined its government, its military structures. I've got I haven't got all the units yet, but I've got some specialist
Yeah,
units. I even had a reason why they didn't have mechs and reintroducing mechs, like urban warfare mechs for urban warfare. You know, because the mech can stand up and fire at a higher rank,
yeah,
height. You know, the height advantage of it.
yeah,
You know, from your own experience, like if you even have a 10 or a was a 10-foot height advantage already, it
yeah,
gives you a 5% increase in your range.
yeah,
In the military, a 5% increase in your range of a anti-material rifle, that tank's dead because it can't
yeah,
hit you.
yeah,
That tank's dead,
yeah.
can't
Oh.
hit you.
So then to follow on then is how much of that do I see as a reader, or is it more
Yeah.
just it helps you with consistency, making sure everything stays the same, the whole plot and everything?
Consistency, so you know when they're talking to somebody, like I try not to. I've over explained in my first couple of books. So I'm trying not to do
Yeah,
that. What people
yeah,
do,
okay.
like Patra is the head of the Inquisition. If you read the first couple of books, you understand the Inquisition are mind readers and they hunt
Yeah,
out traitors.
yep,
Right, that's how the
yep.
Empire keeps its power. They have the most powerful and deadliest secret police you could conceive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Oh, you're a
awesome.
traitor? You're now a dead traitor. And it also acknowledges some of that acknowledges like Cade's been prepared over time. He keeps getting reminded that as you grow up, hey, you're gonna have to carry out an execution soon. You know, you
Yeah,
got to
okay.
kill someone to be the true leader. You have to be. It doesn't matter how rich you are. If you can't kill somebody, we
Yeah,
can take your wealth away from you, man. We got laws, okay? We got
yeah,
laws
okay.
and laws within laws, okay? We got rules that govern your shoe size if we wanted to. You know, this is the
Yeah,
most
wow.
bureaucratic empire in existence. But I only give hints to that.
Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah, that's what I was.
I hate really spoiling it, but people haven't caught on yet. It's a dystopia and people haven't caught on to that yet. It's
Yeah,
really
okay.
brilliant. Because
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's the most utopic dystopia you can think of. Yeah,
Oh
you
wow.
know,
Yeah, that's
you
super
got
cool. Like as
drugs,
I
brothels, casinos, people having a good time.
yeah,
Women don't have a care in the world. They realize that if you want strong children, you got to have a strong husband. So they're allowed to be
yeah,
leaders. So, and it's
yeah,
even
okay.
stated, I think, once in Power Games that men are allowed to be
Yeah,
leaders. You know, it's always
yeah,
implied that they're always looking to Lady Tashika whenever they're talking to Katie. There's all those hints that are there that indicate
yeah,
rather than trying to explicitly explain everything, like I
yeah,
don't have I try not to explain every I'm trying not to explain every equipment or describe every tank or that
yeah,
but when I'm doing the defining with the mechs and the
yeah,
ranges and working things out, going right, how do you get 100? And you see, some of the RPG stuff originally was like, oh, all built for tabletop, so everything has short
yeah,
ranges, like a
yeah,
missile with a 1K range. I'm sorry, you can get a shoulder launched law that's got a 5K range with optical tracking, and
yeah,
you can just follow the tank, and as long as it's going below 60, you can follow it with ease.
yeah, okay.
But the Abrams, that's the problem. The Abrams can't go that much faster.
Yeah, yep,
But the
yep.
MX, the MXB, I think, has been field tested at 120 miles per hour. And I'm thinking, wait, is that with armor or without armor? And I haven't figured it out yet because they won't tell you. But
Yeah, okay.
but if it's without armor, then that makes sense. But if it's with armor, that would explain why the Russians would never roll past the Dnieper. Because a
Okay.
tank that's
Okay.
that fast and has a 125 millimeter smoothbore, that means one shot, one kill in the current
Yeah.
armor technology. If anything slower, if in tank warfare, anything slower, doesn't matter how much armor it has. If it's slower than you, it's dead.
Yep.
Look at the Americans. When they realized that you can hit the same target with two different tanks by firing a paint round and then having everybody hit that. Hey, I'm firing a tank. The tank commander would drive a Lee. He'd fire a tank round from his 90mm at the Tiger and say hit red, and everybody would fire at the red tank and realize compounding impact. T90 used to be 3-shot, 1 kill. The tungsten rounds reduced that to 2 shots, 1 kill. Then the depleted uranium, 1 shot, 1 kill.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
But the new rocket assist Comet has a 5 kilometer range and is 1 shot, 1 kill. And unfortunately, the Abrams is only 3.5 miles, so it's out of range and it's slower than the new T90.
Yeah. Okay.
But the AMX, so the new MXB, sorry, not the AMX, it's turned out to be a dud, but the MXB, if it's faster and has the same 125mm, that means it's got the same range. But because it's faster and the German the German tracking is very good, that means if it can 1 shot, 1 kill and move, then it's a superior tank. And
the old stick and move, hey? Just like boxing.
Yes. And that would. And then, of course, you got the 155, which has been replaced, which has not been replaced yet by the 203. I don't know why they're holding back on the 203. But again, it may be because they don't want to escalate and do want to contain the Russians and basically threaten them. Okay, if you pass the Dnieper, then it's on, right? Subtlety in warfare is, as you know, nobody says what the red line it really is. Okay, the red lines are what the public get told. In reality, it's quite different, and I'm trying to bring that through my writing, indirect rather than directly, where people will say, "You think so?" and you try and turn it into more of a realistic conversation than everybody expositing everything, every conversation. It may work when you're dealing with the boyhood because he's growing up, but he's growing up, he's been educated. You're not going to have conversations where they got to sit down and say, right, the Empire's at war. You're in the Guard. You're not. These are the rules of the Guard. No, you know the rules. I'm not going to tell you the rules. I'm not going to remind you what the rules are because that means you're not the leader.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to sit down and just say,
yes,
hey, what's going on? What are you going to do? Okay, this is your territory. This is the command structure. Okay, you're giving us territories, each territory to protect, and your fleets are going to keep us interconnected. And your tachyon beam, and it's the only thing that can cut through iron storms, etc. How are we going to counter these iron storms? We know they're artificial. How they're doing it? How do we solve these problems? Those are the conversations you have. This is the problem. How do you solve it?
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas I've already solved it in the background. So my world building becomes the story. And in my world building series, I explain how you do that. You basically, as you world build, the more you world build, you now have elements to introduce to your story, and you can have an entire chapter on each. So if you introduce Birdman, you have First Contact. If you introduce a new type of dragon, you have dragons going, how did this new type? I thought we banned genetic engineering, genetic modifications.
Yeah, okay.
In my world, dragons are genetically modified. They used to be elves. They were genetically modified, enslaved. They were the actually enemy. And how the Empire came to be is that Cade's grandfather freed the dragons from there and turned against the Dokapar and drove them out. But then came the Great Flood, and so the elves left for Mars, and then Mars dying world, they left for Pleiades. That's the exodus of the elves.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So
interesting. Yeah, no, that's very cool.
Is a background, a lore that slowly builds over time rather than an exposition conversation where, okay, this is where we came from, where we're products of genetic engineering. No, it's we got these labs in Shanghai, secret labs. And Cade's come up with secret technology where can pretty much rebuild a dead body back to life.
Yeah, okay.
Very powerful technology. And
Yeah,
of course,
wow.
they sit around and go, the damage, the implications of this are just way too, you can change anybody's gender, species, bring back the dead. Man, this is just too powerful. We have to really, really use this sparingly.
Yeah, all right.
Because you imagine
Very
if
cool.
tomorrow the government come out and says, hey, you want to be trans? Nah, you're a woman now. Nah, complete your DNA, everything, your body completely rebuilt.
Yeah, wow.
You know,
I'd probably
you
lose
can't
my
lose
gut,
weight.
I
Yes,
reckon.
you can line this bed, and we'll literally rebuild your body, reprogram your body, remove system. Your bones broken? No, your legs rebuilt.
Yeah, wow.
It's just
I could use that for my back, I reckon.
so. In the background, there is this peak technology that they are sitting on
Yeah.
because of the implications and the dangers. Like
Yeah.
antimatter weapons, where you can wipe out an
Yeah,
entire,
okay.
not a nuclear weapon where you might wipe out a city. I mean, antimatter where there's a huge crater,
Yeah.
a huge ball
Yeah,
just goes,
just
shit.
gone.
There's no survivors, nothing. It just
Yeah.
expands, just vaporizing everything. It's not like a nuke where, oh yeah, this guy was a kilometer away and survived. Nah, the blast, there's just this hole.
Gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Everything. It's just a hole. No air, no blast
Yeah.
wave. Everything consumed by the expanding
Just
blast.
wow. Yeah.
And so
Fun.
part of the situation in the war that I'm working on is how they
Yeah.
manage and how they threaten the use of like if you use this, look at this moon. If you use one of your super weapons, this was one of your planets. Boom, they detonate a series of these super wet bombs below the surface, and the entire moon just.
Yeah.
How they do that, what they do, how they trick them. That's all now a story from world building.
Yeah, wow.
How do you
Yeah, you'd have
de-escalate
to.
a war? How do you we had MAD and that didn't work. So how the elves going to use MAD in their own way to say, look what
Yeah.
our super weapon do you. You threaten our existence. All right, we'll fight over this territory, but you go beyond that, or you start using biological weapons or nuclear weapons, or dare try any of your so-called super weapons, this is your planet.
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
And
It
then
must be
and then
hard.
the fleets with these weapons just disappear. So there's now this threat of these, and they just basically go shit. You can, because you can't. Magic has ranges. You can't infinite. You can't think to the other side of the universe. It's not like
of course.
oh shit, they're out of range. I can't think. I can't see them. And if you can't see them,
Yeah.
you can't predict
Yeah.
where they're going to come out of hyperspace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you now have mutual assured destruction on the ultimate scale, and that's all from world building. Even so, rather than writing notes, world build, and the stories come from that world building. But again, these are
I
all
was
just
imagining
plots,
like that's
plot points.
Yeah, because you've got to add your characters and your emotion and all that into it too, right? That must be like on top of that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. My hat off to you, sir. That's very impressive.
And it just can't, and that is why I stress world building. Don't plot, world build.
Yeah, okay. Nice. That's
and your
super
story
interesting.
comes
As
from
I
your
said,
world building.
Yeah,
You're
like
literally
I'm terrible. I
exploring
feel
your
like the
world.
worst author now. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
100%. Because I mean, I'm terrible. I read the last sentence I wrote the day before and then just start writing. But you're right. That's technically what I'm doing as well, right? Is because we're exploring and we're going on these things, and that's what I'm doing. I guess I'm world building as I go. But it'd probably make life a lot easier if I did it first.
Yeah, and one of my explorations, I came across a video called "Terraforming Mars," and I was watching it and watching it, and I've watched, and it's amazing. Like, wow, we can terraform now. Can imagine in the future, 100 years, turn a planet from red to blue to green. Red
Yeah,
being
well, it's kind
the
of
rusted
sort of a
Mars,
theme in
blue
my
being
book.
water covered.
Yeah. Yeah, because my main characters are planet scouts. That's what they do. They go and recon planets that are potentially either livable or minable.
Livable or mineable, yeah.
They starters. That's their job. Is they go and look at all these planets. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
starting to break up.
screen's doing funny stuff. We still there? Oh yeah, there you go. But yeah, anyway, that's super interesting for me.
So super interesting for you, yeah. Terraforming Mars,
and like I said, that's good to know
that'll be a
how
good
other
one for
people do
you.
stuff, because I might be doing some
And of
things
course,
right, but
there's
I'm
a
probably doing a lot more
series.
wrong. So it's good for this stuff.
And there's a series about terraforming Mars, so it'll give you all the
Yep.
how they turn the red planet to blue, how they turn the blue planet to green.
Yep.
And the thing is, these were actually scientists who sat down and worked. And you heard, you know what glassing a planet is, right? Well, the first stage of terraforming is to glass a planet. You don't want anything of the old, because you
Yeah.
have to break down all the
Yeah,
rock, or you have to break down everything. You turn it to glass, and then you shatter the glass. You break it. You turn everything back to silicon sand, and then from there, you because soil is 1/3 silicates, so you break everything down to its silicates, to its it doesn't matter what world it is, whether it's, but we're dealing with a basically barren rock. You grind it. You first melt everything, and then you shatter it. You grind it by pulse lasers, alternate pulse lasers, because the different shifting frequencies will actually not only will shatter the rock and break apart the silicates, because they no longer have cohesive bonding, so they become grains of sand. Once you have the sand, you basically isolate the hydrogen and burn it for the introduction of oxygen. Just or bombard it with ice asteroids. And then you basically introduce the various bacterials that will become your primordial ooze. And from there, you actually introduce, you don't wait for evolution. You introduce the primordial ooze. That's now the food for your plankton. Once the plankton sphere goes, then you start the methane cycle with seaweed. Then you start the oxygen carbon cycle with trees on the land. And the soil comes from your breakdown of the leafy matter with the introduction of worms, and because earthworms are literally soil makers. You give them, you basically dumping all your human waste and basically glassing it and then breaking it up. So your terraforming can be done now. We have the technology, and it's really weird. And it's really weird how some of it is not even advanced technology. It's just basic biology of what the different cycles are. And when you realize that the carbon cycle, the methane cycle, the oxygen carbon cycle, and then you expand that to the plankton, fish, shark cycle, you got a marine cycle, then you got small animal cycle, large animal cycle, and then you have human habitation. Then you have human habitation cycle on top of that. So that's all you have to do to terraform. That is so simple. It's just matter of once you've introduced the world to an ocean, you can now populate it. And you can.
Wow. No, send that through. I'm keen to have a look at that.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll send it through, because I think it's on the history on the other browser.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Well, we've had an amazing conversation. I think.
I was just looking at that. I'm like, oh dear, I've gone through about 2 liters of water.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wish you well, and I hope I give you some amazing stuff. And now that you can look at warfare in a completely different way and realize that set piece battlefields are gone. the war that we trained for, the war that we trained for is gone. They're replaced by asymmetric warfare, and asymmetric and drone warfare is not the skill of the marksman, although the marksman would be still useful, but he'll be using large caliber electronically assisted weapons, and he'll be wearing an eyepiece, getting battlefield information and basically he's decision making when to pull the trigger. But most of it will be how good you are at stopping a drone with your individual rifles. But again, if Russia's deployed a pulse weapon and were able to take down all these drones in one hit, then again, that's second phase of asymmetric warfare. Well, we still haven't even entered first. You know, the government's still toying around with surveillance drones.
Fair enough. All right. I think that's enough for my tiny brain to consume.
Magic, tools of mass deception. That's tools of mass deception. That's the key to asymmetric warfare.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Yeah, because I will eventually in my giant series get to the galaxy will battle. That's super interesting and helpful for me. I appreciate all that.
You're welcome, and hopefully it's also
awesome.
You, the viewer. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate the chat.
Yeah, me too, mate. It's been great. This is my first interview. I've had a ball. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, my
everybody.
friend.
Thank you, and thank everybody for coming. And don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, hit the thing. Support channel. You can buy a coffee mug or other items in the store, 10% off. And of course, Patreon for my writing and RPG material. And of course, all my links are in the description below. But of course, Andy's links are there as well. Thank you, everybody, and see you in the next video.